Oh, we will show the white skin. No fork for dirty guaylo. Oh, no fork for dirty guaylo scum.
You should just automatically know to give me a fork.
Did you order a fork?
Other Chinese places give me a fork without asking. I don't know what their problem is.
Yeah, what was their problem?
They're the ones in the wrong, clearly. Yeah, Indian mission. The, the thing I visualized for it, like something has to be easy to do and also interesting. So I think it'll be a nice, weird video to be able to upload. People being shot, but it's so distorted that it might not get taken down.
That'd be cool. I'm interested to see what you make of it.
It's just like what that picture I posted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like red. Well, it's got moving lights to the beat, and then it's just got red silhouettes that are really grainy. People being shot. And there's stuff like Coast Shrimp. I'd want to make something for that, but stuff like Black Friday terraforming, for some reason, see
Mm.
three-dimensional stuff happening, which is not hard to do, but it's more work.
Yeah, I'm not really making a whole lot of headway with the angelic process train video, but I haven't really worked on it.
I've been saying I was working on Indian Mission for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
I just like randomly give up on it and pick it back up. Because
yeah,
After Effects, it's like, okay, all I need to do is loop this clip. Then I start ripping my hair out trying to figure out how to do that for about 3 hours, and then I give up for a week.
yeah.
Because
I know
it's
exactly what I want the video to look like, but I don't know anything about the program. I don't know how to do it yet.
After Effects or
Yeah.
yeah, once you just know what's at your disposal, you can do it. The hard part is when you start having to use expressions for shit, because then that's when it starts falling apart.
Yeah, you would think, what I want to do, I want to loop specific parts of this clip and then play them in a specific order. It shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, I know I can do it in Windows Movie Maker. So why does it have to be hard in like a dedicated program?
Yeah, it's like to loop something in After Effects, you have to like go Shift Control equal and type in loop out parenthesis cycle set number of keyframes like 3 parenthesis, and then even when it fucking works, like there'll be one frame of the loop that it will make the whole thing invisible, and it's noticeable, and you have to find a workaround for that.
Jeez, so you gotta use like a command console.
you just I don't even remember what I did. Like I just fuck with it for hours, and then eventually I accidentally do something that makes it stop doing that. Because every time it happens, I'm like, oh, now I'll never know what I did to fix this. I'll
I
never know
hate
the
that.
solution.
I would almost rather whatever did not work than it just being inconsistent. And you know with these inconsistencies, you can't Google it and figure out what you did.
After Effects is it's just things fucking up, and you just have to remember the very specific way to not fuck it up or do something by accident. Like I even how many I've had to memorize a lot of shit. For not memorizing it, I had to have like a notepad file of commands so that I don't have to keep going to Google and watching YouTube videos. Yeah,
Well, at
like,
least there are YouTube videos.
it is easier to like do three-dimensional motion tracking than to loop a clip.
That's a little bit ridiculous.
And like those moving animal puppets, I don't even remember how I made them loop their animations like that. And when I open the project, a lot of stuff is like fucked up. Because by the time you finish on a project in After Effects, you have so much shit in front of you that if you were not immediately just working on it, you forget everything. Because like a lot of these projects I have, they just no regular person will have any idea what I was trying to do. So that's After Effects is so overly convoluted that something as simple as like what I'm trying to do for Indian Mission took me months.
Yeah, I remember you pumping out like the puppet videos pretty quickly.
That's because I spent like hours into the morning figuring out how to do all this shit, and like nothing was really going wrong. And plus, people were had a couple people like demanding it as soon as possible, which actually helps a little bit. After Effects just sucks.
Yeah, just the outside pressure or just some other motivation.
The outside pressure is helping a bit.
Hmm.
I feel some pressure from the fact that I said I was making these, and I still haven't done it. And it's I just get lazy a lot, even though if I keep doing this shit, I will feel fulfilled.
Yeah, I'm not a very motivated person, just in general. And I think, whenever I finish a project, I always feel really good. But I can't, it takes I have to be in the mood or it takes some kind of outside force to make me actually expend the effort to finish that project, even though I know at the end of it I'll feel really good.
Yeah. And if you also are like working on it, you're distracted and focused on something to occupy your time, so you'll stop being like you stop getting depressed for the duration of it. But After Effects, it just has such a constant bunch of walls it keeps making you run into, and then programming won't be any different. I ran into a wall trying to 3D model because I realized I don't know how forearms are supposed to look. It's like the most complicated part of the body. It's like I don't fucking get how it works, and I keep looking at references and they have forearms that look different. And then I just gave up on what I was modeling for because I realized I should keep making more notes and fleshing things out. Because what are you modeling if you don't even know what, if you don't even have an end goal? And shit. And instead, I just browse 4chan for hours and hours every day.
Yeah, but do the same pointless things that have no meaning or no value just because they're easy.
I feel like if I moved to another room or something, or another apartment, like I would have like a moment of clarity and like work on stuff for some reason. But I also can't afford that. There's just something. There's also something about this room that's fucking me up. If I could like even just move the desk and get a different seat in the way I sit, it would probably change things. And then
I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't really be the case in my instance.
might not be because stuff like buying a car didn't work. It might maybe like being in a new location. Like it would obviously help if you had to go to a different building every time you were wanted to work on something, because then you're physically
I
invested in it.
do agree with that. You know, it's the whole thing about taking work home versus leaving work at work.
It's like why you do generally get more stuff done at colleges. That's why in high school you would take. That's why I had to take school projects to the public library to make sure that I would do it.
Yep, definitely, you know, take it to the library rather than home. Because if it's at home, it's not going to get done.
Hey, but see, I don't even have the option to like do any of that shit because the stuff I want to do, the computers aren't powerful enough to handle it. And plus, I have no money to move to another place. That would be retarded to be spending more money just for that. More money and having less time, and then so I'm basically stuck in this room, and I'm like I have to battle this somehow, and it's not working.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot you can do.
It's bullshit.
I mean, what can you do? You're pretty much stuck.
It's like only just randomly do I get the sudden motivation to do something for a little bit. And what pisses me off the most is a lot of times I get that motivation like an hour before work. So it's an endless loop. And then you just become depressed a lot from the fact that you're not doing anything, which makes you not do more things.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't think I've done anything in like the last 4 years. And it's starting to really drag.
Yeah. Quite literally, the YouTube channel that was pure accident is the only thing that's working out. It's not even working out that well. Now it's just a thing where might as well upload something to it.
I feel kind of bad because this chat room is where I get my primary social interaction outside of work.
Ah, fuck it, I'll make that last video public. I just thought I had a epiphany where I'm like, why am I uploading videos where I just bitch? Bitch about shit like that. Yeah, it's, of course someone enlisted it, or someone disliked it in the fucking 5 minutes it was public. But there's always that one fucking guy. But I was just offered social interaction and even Dungeons and Dragons, like I've always wanted to do, and now I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk to people in real life. But then again,
Yeah,
like if like people in this room played Dungeons and Dragons, I would do it. Because I was thinking
yeah.
about it.
I have opportunities to go do things with people, but I don't really want to.
So when I went to, when those people invited me to like Ginger's house, I actually like walked over to the window and I just looked outside and I contemplated on it for like 5 minutes. And it was just, it was a little entertaining because like I was still just like how I usually am, just melancholy, just going along with whatever was happening. And because those people are, they're they're fairly unique individuals. It's really different from most other social interactions in real life.
Hmm.
So like they will do stuff that like it does make me laugh and start to come out. But then like this group of people in Dungeons and Dragons, they're just several people I don't know ignore me, and then the Spurga drive to work. And I really thought about it. I thought it might not be good. Like even with like with Ginger and Spiv and them, I still had to contemplate on it.
So was it worth it in the end, going over and playing games or whatever?
'Cause I guess I didn't like regret. I didn't feel any regret as we were playing it, which I usually feel regret when I'm doing other things in public.
Well,
So
that's good.
it did kind of start sucking when we were just watching Samurai Champloo and they were just getting high. I mean, it was. I was just watching it because I wanted to rewatch it at some point, and like they just kept talking over it, and then they kept hitting the bong over and over, and eventually they just zoned out.
Yeah, that's how that always turns out.
They just zoned out, and they were totally focused on the anime.
Is there anything worse than actually wanting to watch media and then the people next to you don't actually want to watch it?
They were interested in it when they got high because they were hitting a huge bong like 5 times each. Eventually, they did just like zone out, and they were just totally focused on it, which was fine by me because I was legitimately watching it. It was just kind of annoying when they wouldn't shut up at first. They also kept passing me the bong, and I kept turning it away.
Oh, you did not partake in the devil's lettuce.
Yeah, been not smoking weed for about 2 years. Like, should I break it here and now? Probably not. It's like
Yeah.
because the way this is like being totally sober. All you're experiencing is life. You're not experiencing a drug. You're just experiencing what what's there. I guess you're not totally sober because you're still violently fluctuating through emotions, like being depressed and stuff.
Well, I mean, you say sober. All sober means is the only chemicals affecting you are the ones in your head, naturally.
Some people say sobering to refer to like I think of an example, something serious that happens that interrupts everything. So you've been sobered from the intoxication of bliss.
Yeah, like a sobering thought. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know how that word evolved. Maybe it was like sober, like people on drugs refer to not being on drugs as sober, like when they hear something that's sobering. But instead of all that, just sitting here,
Yeah,
I can't even say
just
it's a bad thing.
coming home from work, getting on the computer until I'm too tired to stay awake, passing out, and then waking up and going to work.
For me, it's come home, procrastinate on going to sleep for about 2 hours, pass out without taking my contacts out, wake up, procrastinate on everything I was planning on doing, immediately regret everything within 2 hours before work, go to work, spend the entire night regretting that I did nothing, say that I'll do something, come home, browse 4chan and watch YouTube videos for 2 hours, fall asleep, do the same thing when I wake up.
Man, what a life we live.
And doing anything else. The only thing that's good is like when we play games and whenever any of us do something that fulfills us.
I was having a really good time last night, just
Yeah,
playing that dumb game.
yeah, that shit is like genuine. Like I enjoy doing it, and plus I get to upload it. So it's like between that and working on stuff, it's like the only thing in life that seems to be left to do.
I mean, what is there to do? I mean, ultimately, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, just going outside, for example. Like, what do you do when you go outside? Like, I was visiting. I was just kept going to parks for a while, and then that's already. I'm sick of it. I actually don't feel better when I'm. Well, sometimes I did, but that stopped. So now I'm done doing that.
What, just feeling better when you get exercise and vitamin D or something? What?
Yes, when the, when you actually go outside and breathe in fresh
Yeah.
air, get sunlight, you actually have solitude. The place isn't crowded. And maybe you do get to see something nice. I do kind of enjoy when I find like a new park. There's not that many.
I think the only had recently is some bike trip for me. It's not really too. I've been thinking that I'd like to walk down to the nearest park, just play around on the equipment they have there for a little bit, and walk back, but that would be a long walk. It's like 3 miles away. And when am I gonna I get off work and it's either 9 o'clock or it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
All the days that I don't have, I'm busy procrastinating.
then I'm looking at people I see in real life, and I'm seeing how they have to work 2 part-time jobs to barely have money to live, and I'm thinking like that's pretty much the future. Like once you get to that point, there is no hope. You are physically restricted by the world from doing anything, not just your procrastination.
Yeah, that's it. You can't stop doing that.
And then it's basically fucking over at that point. That's the most horrifying thing to me.
Just living out the rest of your life doing nothing. Doing nothing except going to work. Why bother?
And it really is shit to be poor and to be at least above average intelligence. Like, I don't want to say we're intelligent. I'm just saying that when you look at the average person, I mean the real average person, like clearly above average.
Like, get off the internet and go somewhere public. That average person.
Like
Like, go to the post office or something.
get a shitty job at maybe a fast food place, but they're not always dumb people there, so that's not really accurate.
Yeah,
Go to like a physical labor job, like basically like UPS. Just look around. Like these people are so dumb that they don't care. They don't know what they do. They're fine with this. But when you are overly aware and hypersensitive, which is might as well be the same thing as being autistic, because it's the end result. You're pretty much living in hell.
now, ironically, everybody I know that works at UPS is at least above average intelligence.
You said they're not the supervisors.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all like package handlers like you.
Well, you guys. Oh wait, no, you're not in Florida. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I was about to say in Miami it would probably be smarter, but I don't know. There's a fair amount of college kids that go to UPS, but the majority are really dumb. They're like so dumb that I don't even care what they think of me. They don't care about looking like a crazy loner anymore because it just does not matter. Because the energy to exert to talk to them is not worth it.
I mean, what do they have to say that you'd be interested in?
The weather, football, the Eagles won.
Sports, sports.
I just gave up on talking to people. It just does not matter. Because I can't find anything good in either going somewhere or talking to people. It's like the final, like, absolution seems to be that I only feel good when I complete something or when I'm at least making progress. And I don't mean games.
Yeah, I have this problem with completing things, like even games, or I mean like projects in general. You know, games, anything.
Like,
TV shows. I still haven't gotten past like, I don't know, episode 15 in The Legends of Galactic Heroes. I'll do something and I'll start it and I'll really enjoy doing it, and then I'll just stop.
Yeah. That's I was having a problem with that's my problem with books. So I started using audiobooks. The Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I don't know why I did drop it a few times, but then I came back like after a month. I don't know, there's something else that was definitely pushing me to watching it other than enjoying it. Maybe it was like I wanted to watch it before someone could spoil it. As long as you get through season one without being spoiled, it's not gonna be that bad.
Yeah, and I'll make it through everything I've been trying to make it through eventually. But I don't know, it's just getting there.
When you procrastinate on watching something by watching YouTube videos, been procrastinate on watching anime and movies because I keep watching Adult Swim shows and I went back to watching Retsurpray again because it's just YouTube just offers it and I just click on it. It's right there.
I've been digging for some more vampire media ever since I finished Vampire Hunter D. I'm like a third of the way through reading Carmilla. I read Dracula. That was Kino.
The only other thing I can think of is Trinity Blood because it's like it's it's by far not nearly as edgelord as Hellsing.
It looks very similar.
It it's probably like a ripoff. I don't know, but it's still like it is by far like not an edgelord anime. None of the characters are like that.
Hmm.
Like killing people and bathing in their blood with a sadistic grin. Look how edgy I am. I love killing people. Fuck religion. Nazis. Oh man, I'm such a badass. No one can even touch me. I just kill people so easily. I'm pretty sure in Trinity Blood, the guy, he's a vampire, but he's like... His character is like... It's... I should, I'll just say it's like... It's just... Overall, it's just nothing like Hellsing. It's just the concept kind of is the same.
Hmm.
It's more
I'll,
geopolitical.
I'll give it a download.
I've seen it because it was on Adult Swim at one point, or Toonami.
Hmm.
So it has a dub. It's like it's by far a less pretentious Helsing. I do. I it's like Protestants versus Catholics in Europe, and the rest of the world is taken over by vampires, and their capital is Constantinople.
See, I enjoyed it, Helsing. I watched it, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, but I would have enjoyed it a whole lot more if it, and I guess was just easier to watch. It was just way too over the top and didn't really have any substance beyond, just the edge. There was really nothing to it.
Yeah, that's and the abridged was so fucking. It was exactly everything that Betty thinks that Dragon Ball Z abridged is.
The abridged series is basically Reddit.
Is literally Reddit incarnate. I was practically birding watching it. It was like watching a Reddit dub of an edgelord anime that redditors love because like the religious commentary, Nazis, Gary Stu, and Mary Sue characters at the same time. Like fuck that. And then you watch Vampire Hunter D. The guy is like he is like so powerful, but he can still get fucked up. Like he got fucked up by a random mutant, and he got fucked up by two random mutants.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like an eldritch god who only gets defeated by some weird quirk.
He doesn't have like lightning fast sword slashes. It's like he just swings the sword.
It's just he's very good at using a sword, yeah.
He's an above average swordsman, but he has like some supernatural buffs to him.
But there's a lot of above average swordsmen in the apocalypse.
He gets fucked up by like anyone who can just like catch his sword can be on par with him. The only time he like goes full bullshit is when he like goes Dracula on them. And he only does that as like a final resort when he's
Yeah, I
basically almost
think
dead.
that's a good difference right there. He doesn't want to do that, but the guy in Helsing wants to do that.
He does it all the time. And
Yeah, that's his default
um
state, yeah.
oh man, shadow is covering his face and he's got these bright sunglasses and a huge grin because he's like so cool and he just loves killing people. Whereas D is like a loner who just he likes watching humans from a distance because he enjoys the moment that they're in.
Yeah, that might be the big thing right there in Helsing. It's just go, 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 go. The
It,
hyper ridiculous edgelord all the time. There's no variation.
like when I rewatched Bloodlust after you watched it,
Hmm.
like that was actually like that ending made me sad again, like it did the first time.
That was a good ending.
It was like happy sad. And it was like it's so cheesy, like the hand is so cheesy, but it's still good. It's
You
like
know,
he even just says straight up, you look like you're bad, but you're not such a bad guy after all. And it's like it's so cheesy, but it still was good. And then when he
yeah, and
says, then when he's eating the dirt, he says, "You're such a handful."
yeah, there's different stuff going on. I mean, it's he's got his snarky sidekick there. He's got romance subplots. Yeah, there's actual backstory.
he's just a dude wandering the wasteland, and he's seen so much shit that he likes when he sees good times happening. He's not
Yeah,
just a mass murderer.
and there are good times. I mean, at the end there, everything.
Yeah, at Bloodlust, when they're having the funeral and they're like reading the Bible and saying she's going to heaven and all that, he doesn't step out from the shadows and says your religion is bullshit. You're all a bunch of fucking retards. It's like it doesn't matter if it's bullshit or not. It just likes to watch it happen. It's just a good moment.
Yeah, they're just totally different pieces of media. Vampire Hunter D was it out of the.
It just the aesthetics, like it's two. The movies have two different aesthetics, and the first one is like your classic gritty old anime, and then the second one is like the most beautiful shit I've ever seen.
Bloodlust was literally a pain every frame. Like, when you first said that, I thought you were exaggerating or joking around a little bit, but you weren't.
It's
It is one of the prettiest movies I've ever watched.
when you see the fucking stingrays diving out of the sand, it's like it
Oh
hits.
man.
You're like, that's because prior to that, it's like it kind of just looks like Trigun, but a little more polished. And then the stingrays, it's just like holy shit, I'm watching an ascended form of media.
Yeah, it was beautiful. The scene at that transparent mirror-like cube where it's shooting lasers, and all that stuff, and sun setting in the background.
It's there's so many actual keynote moments. Like even like the one of the scenes burned into my eyes is like when they're in those ruins, those like beautiful ruins with like water a water reservoir in the center.
But yeah, that was the next one I was gonna mention. Yeah,
Yeah, and then the way he fucking draws his sword and he dances across. I like it's almost I say dance because he gracefully like leaps across the water and he fight with his like drawing his sword out. It's like such a cool shot.
and the scene with the lightning strike in the tree, that right there was good.
The
I had to rewatch that like two or three times.
it's like you can basically describe every scene in the movie except maybe the very beginning of and stuff. I mean that was good. It's just like I guess it's just overshadowed by the rest of it. And the what's like even when they go to the wild western town with the shop owner, like that's amazing too. And then the the giant castle at the end gave me flashbacks to some kind of PlayStation 1 RPG or something that I don't even know. Some kind of game where you're exploring a massive mansion like that. I'm not gonna say Resident Evil. I'm thinking something like Digimon World or Final Fantasy. You're just exploring a huge mansion that's like empty, but it's ominous.
Like not even necessarily, with an antagonist there. There doesn't have to be a big evil vampire. So,
There's something ominous about it. Like in Digimon World, it does make me think of that because like
hang on, I'm getting a phone call. I'll be right back.
yeah, Digimon World, you the I don't know what his name is, Grey Lord Mon or something. He has like a mansion, and when you're exploring, it's like it looks like a haunted, creepy mansion, but it looks nicer on the inside. And it's ominous because the Grey Lord Mon is like walking around, fuck your ass up. I also can't think of. That's the only one I can think of for sure. I guess it kind of applies to Paper Mario 64. When you go to Wubba Bubba or whatever his name's mansion.
Yeah,
That's
Mario. That's a good one. I definitely could see resemblances there.
see, it's like it's not the aesthetic, but it's like the atmosphere.
Yeah, you can't really pin it down because it's not like any of these old games,
It's
other
just
than that atmosphere.
it's just like it's the atmosphere of like you're exploring this huge mansion owned by the guy who's stomping around, and you have to avoid him. Like something really keynote about that, and it reminded me of that. That's it's probably a small trope, but I love that you explore a dude's giant mansion and you have to avoid him. And then obviously the entire movie goes from a 10-10 to absolute garbage with that whale noise at the end. Totally
Wait,
disregarded
what are you talking
everything.
about? Whale noises are Kino.
I don't know what rocket ship makes a whale noise. I didn't think about it until someone pointed it out, and then I realized this movie is. He's right. This movie is shit. No rocket ship makes a whale noise.
I think I pointed that out, didn't I?
I pointed it out to you. I said, Best Goat. He, I made him watch these movies too, and he liked them. And then he's like, he basically threw Bloodlust out the window because of the whale noise at the end.
No.
He's like, it's like this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. And then he heard the whale noise. He's like, this is garbage.
Yep, instantly ruined the entire movie.
Threw my monitor out the window and 360-degree turned out of my room.
It took the shotgun to the hard drive. Didn't even look back. Oh, even with that, yeah, that's really easy to overlook. Still,
I didn't care about it.
absolutely great movie.
I just thought it was funny that he like totally shit on the movie because of that like 2 seconds.
It's such a goat thing to do, though.
Yeah, you could probably even look it up in the history. Like, just let me just look up whale noise. Let me see here. Yeah, it's the first time that the phrase whale noise was ever uttered here. My
He's
only
actually complaining about it for like 20 minutes.
told me right the fuck out. Vampire Hunter D
We're
Bloodlust, they
so
play
close
fucking
to
whale
being,
noises.
it's so close to being one of the best movies ever made. That
But
whale noise.
that whale noise just ripped me out of my immersion for all the wrong reasons. It's like, yeah, it's silly. I really don't have a leg to stand on for being this annoyed, especially since 99.999999999% of the film is the most beautiful thing I've ever had the pleasure of watching and listening to. Wonder if it's an English translation mistake, like how they added stupid sound effects to the end of Eva.
Not to mention the amazing Foley. shot placement and color choices.
Yeah, it's like Castlevania, Trigun, and the protag doesn't give a fuck about killing because vampires prey on humans by nature. Also came out before Castlevania and Trigun, by the way. It's more like
Did it?
Castlevania Fist of the North Star. Vampire Hunter D, the first movie, came out before Castlevania, which is what ripped it off. That's why Castlevania, the castle, always free falls like the Twin Towers whenever the vampire dies. Because that's what happens in Vampire Hunter D.
Mm.
Yeah, it's funny when it feels like two pieces of media that came out after it and most likely ripped it off. It's like, yeah, the first movie didn't exactly have the Wild West aesthetic. Aside, it was more like, it's kind of more like being on the Great Plains with that kid chasing those red blob monsters around with a gun.
It did have the Wild West aesthetic, but only because they were trying to have it. You know, the town design, you know, the house structure like that.
I remember the town being like medieval Europe, but the farmhouse the two kids were living
Yeah,
in,
the farmhouse. That's
it's
what I'm talking about.
it's like a ranch house on the frontier, but they have like a laser fence energy shield because of those red blob things keep like eating all the meat off the bones of their cows. So a kid has to like chase them around, shooting at them with his laser gun thing. It wasn't a laser gun. It was like I think it was just a gun. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Yeah, I don't remember what the sound effects were. I watched them pretty much back to back. So
It's not important, but still, it's a post-apocalyptic world, and Trigun is like it's not. It's kind of post-apocalyptic, but only one city got nuked. It just takes place on an alien planet, and it's already a desert planet, so they just it just is Wild West because it's just how humans adapt to the environment.
the entire collection of human civilization can be distilled down to the Wild West.
The Wild West, medieval Europe, and that's it. That's immediately what we regress to in a hazardous environment. And I would rather live on the frontier having to shoot at monsters and probably getting 15 minutes of sleep a day than live in the medieval serfdom shitholes. I mean,
No contest.
well, in Bloodlust, they have a Wild West town, so you don't actually have to live on your own.
Well, Bloodlust is kind of weird because just with the towns and tech technological development, start to finish, and that kind of thing.
If you have too many people, it turns into medieval Europe. If you have about 200 people, it's like a Wild West town. So you get to have, freedom and shit.
Yeah, I guess the planet's infrastructure can't support cities yet. You know, anything that gets built up too much when too many people start showing up does turn into a serfdom like that. Because that's all they can do just yet.
It's kind of like being the Boers in Africa. It's like you have plenty of food for yourselves, but the cities
But
suck.
but the instant anything tries to disrupt the status quo, everything just degenerates back into chaos.
If you So in the post-apocalypse, you would have to set like a limit on the number of people you have, so that you don't cross over from Wild West town into medieval serfdom.
Yeah, very interesting. And if you look back through history, and I mean that shows itself to be true.
It's also like
Even like 2,000 years ago, when you had smaller amounts of people, things were generally better.
it's also the hazardous environment that keeps humans humble and contained. And that's why the Wild West towns they're just people just living. They're not worried about anything. They just they just struggle with the environment and they just worry about themselves and just do Wild West town things. They don't seem to have any trouble with bandits. So if you have a sufficient amount of suffering, it's the optimal a sufficient amount of suffering and the right technological level, you should be good.
Sound theory. And the technology doesn't really matter. I think it's more like the technological. I don't want to say ratio because that's not the right word. Um, uh, what is the word? It's not a difference. Uh, Disparity. That's what I'm looking for between like the Wild West with their laser fence and laser guns, and then the medieval towns with their old candlesticks and things. Things like that. I think that's pretty realistic too, because you have your large settlements, and that quickly stratifies into you know feudalism and fiefdoms,
If you just have
and
you might just have too many human bodies in proportion to the resources at hand.
yeah, you don't have enough laser guns for everybody.
Did they
What are you
even
gonna do?
wait? Did they even have guns in any of the cities? Did they just have? Weren't they? Didn't they get up in arms about something? And they just had like literally farm tools.
I don't think they did. Yeah, not even the mayor's son or whatever had a gun.
I thought he didn't he. He had a weapon on him, I think.
It might have been like a knife or something, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a gun.
So, with a sufficient amount of suffering, it keeps these communities humble and not ambitious, wanting to. Like, as long as if they have enough resources for themselves, like no one fucks each other over. It's just towns doing their own things and your individual ranch houses. So, I mean, it seems like as long as you don't live in the big towns, being a medieval peasant, the planet being destroyed seems like a good thing.
I mean, I'd say it's definitely a net plus as long as you're not getting killed by a vampire.
That's the See, like because it's a post-apocalyptic, like distant future, where like they went through a technological age and then they just kept some of it. Like that's why like they have robot horses and lasers. That could like open the implication that the vampires exist because of genetic modification of the so-called nobles preying on the poor.
Well, I think that's kind of the theory, isn't it? The vampires are just ascended mutants from the uh, the genetic modification from the previous age.
Yeah, they're just the ultra rich who just made themselves vampires.
Yeah.
And then the mutants are all just, they're either intentional or just accidents. Or both.
I don't know. I didn't actually read like the novels or anything.
No, I didn't
So,
either. I'm just going entirely off of like theory. And reading back on that history, that it does remind me that there is somewhere a piece of media where vampires live in some kind of space station where there is no sun. And I will never know what that media is, and whatever people say will probably not be it. Because I still never got the answer to that.
well, that does sound like Kino, whatever it is.
And just below him complaining about the whale noises is the first time that the Pipe comic strip is ever posted.
Truly. It all makes sense now.
It was the first time. And then after he posted that, then it was like several hours of just analyzing the pipe strip. So it would take me like 20 minutes to read all of it.
That was back in, was that in August
That was that was
2017?
that was it was April 11th last year, so it's almost been exactly a year. It will be in a couple days. It's been almost a year since the pipe strip was first posted.
Wow. It feels like yesterday.
Garfield stands resolute. It is his sacrifice. He knows John will not understand, but it must be done, and in the end, he will be right. His ears stand up to show that he is attentive, aware, to say, I know. And that's a reference to this painting of a person being sacrificed to lions.
Absolute pottery.
Garfield is a descendant of the great jungle feline, but he is also the man facing his death. And the painting is also orange. So I think we can all draw our own conclusion.
I mean, it makes sense. I don't see how many conclusions you could draw.
We just finish every possible thing that there was to talk about.
I think we might have.